Hey guys, welcome back to the episode on the Corner Flag Talk podcast. It's your boy John. As always, we are here to give you all something to listen to discuss as we talk about the latest in football. This would be released on Tuesday. You guys know it's international break, and when international break comes back, we'll be headed into the last stretch of the season. So next weekend, the boys will do their end of season predictions where they will go match day by match day and plan out how my season is going to fall apart and how Virgil's season is all going to come together. And so that's that, as well as we've done episodes in the past with Elliot from the AVP podcast. He will be on again next week, and you guys will get some content from that as well. And I may or may not be in the works to plan something with a former national midfielder for Trinidad and Tobago. And granted that gets off the ground, that should also come out during this international break because I was hoping to do that before we played Canada, before Trinidad plays Canada for the Copa qualifier. So, with all that being said, we're going to talk about the Champions League draw and the last few rounds that went this last week here. We actually would talk about some cup because there was cup football this weekend. That was actually quite entertaining to talk about, and just the usual wrap up around the leagues. With that being said, we have for a short time this evening we have Brandon. Brandon, was a good, my guy,
Hello, everybody.
and we have Virgil. Virgil was good.
Good idea. Yeah, I was enjoying talking about a little football.
It's the funny thing, yeah. I was actually planning to be like, hey, well, guys, this is our podcast at the end of the day. It's supposed to be like a conversation. Why don't y'all tell the viewers what all you've been up to more recently? But given the urgency to which we have Brandon this evening, we'll try that from next week. So that being said, we have the last few rounds of the Champions League. So what we're gonna do is for the little time that we have Brandon, we're gonna let him just talk, and then when he's gone, me and Virgil will correct everything that he said, and he won't have a chance to rebuttal at all. So, firstly, Brandon, thoughts on the Arsenal versus Porto game?
Oh, bro, insane game. I knew Arsenal would have won. I thought they would have won by more, and, like taking it beat without going into extra time. But um, I thought they were great for as good a second leg as they could play. Um, I know, good for them that they got through. And they got a horrible draw afterwards. So you know how it is. But yeah, that's all I can say for Arsenal. Good for them to go through. I think this is Arsenal's exceeded expectations for the season. Sorry, met expectations. I think
Mm-hmm.
they wasn't going to. I thought it was going to reach this stage of the Champions League. I think if they beat Bayern, I think that would be like definitely exceeding expectations for me this season. But yeah,
Mm-hmm.
good for Arsenal. It was a good game as well. You know, glad they got through in the end.
Um, like I said, I won't be commenting, but I do think I remember last week when we did the pod that
Mm.
Brandon was like out of him and Brandon, Daniel was like out of being the front. He was like asked to go through on pens.
One,
And
yeah.
so said,
Yeah.
so done. Next up, Barca versus Napoli.
Yeah, Barca really took them out early. Um, they just look so superior at home. And yeah, Napoli are not really a good side right now. They didn't look very good. I didn't think they were going through at any point. It didn't look like they were going to get the better of Barca throughout the game.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so I thought it was a fair result in the end. And then, well, Barca. Well, I'll talk about them when I get to it. But it's going to be tough going for them when they play PSG. Um, Going up against one of the best attackers in the world, but a defense that very suspect.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, so I guess that's all I could say about Barca. I think there's more to say about Napoli, but I guess all I could get into that later on.
We won't really touch on PSV Dortmund, although the fact that literally last minute of the game, the entire fortunes could have swung one way or the other when not Nigel, what's his name? Luke De Jong missed on the 6 yard line, and then they went up the other end and Royce iced it. Um, that being said, the last one is Atletico and Inter. I do think leading into the game that we didn't really give Atleti much of the benefit of the doubt from the point of view that we didn't think their big players was fit. And whether or not they were actually fit, given that some of them didn't even play at the weekend, says a lot of how they pushed themselves to be ready for that game. So yeah, what was your thoughts on the Atleti Inter one?
Yeah, I think I agree with what you say there. We all thought that Griezmann was not going to play, and that was like the deciding factor for everybody. So the fact that he did play and he scored and they played well, it just proves again, Simeone turns out to be one of the best managers in the world. He still hasn't lost
Mm-hmm.
a home knockout Champions League tie. I believe that's a
Insane.
statistic.
Yeah.
Um, and looking forward, Atleti is probably the one team you don't want to come up against.
Mm-hmm.
And um, yeah, I don't think there's anything left to say. Inter Milan again, unlucky. Lautaro again, as Daniel said, he dogged it. Lautaro to
Hey.
dog it. I also think Turam was very disappointing.
Mm-hmm.
Honestly,
He had
what
a
else is
chance
there
to
to
ice it as
say?
well.
Yeah, and oh yeah, the final thing I want to say about Atletico is that I remember when we did the world class episode, there was a lot of things we said about Atletico players, but if some of them weren't world class, but that was a world class performance from Koke. That was as good as of a performance you can ask from a midfielder, from a captain, like it's a captain's performance.
Or Black
So
as well.
great for them too. Yeah, that's all I have to say on that one.
Yeah, well then, the draw, how the draw went. I know you didn't
Oh,
like it.
right. So
So probably tell
this is where
everybody
I
why.
know this is going to make the discussion very good. This is the worst possible draw we could have get. The worst possible draw. Nobody want
Yeah.
to see any of these ties, bro.
Yeah, boy,
Nobody.
that's
We
the
want to
truth.
see these in one up. We don't want to see these now. Like this is terrible. Honestly, Arsenal could not ask for a worse draw. I think Bayern could not ask for a worse draw. I think City and Real Madrid could not have asked for a worse draw. Like everybody got the worst draw. Like honestly, the
Well,
worst
I
draw
guess
everybody got.
unless you're sitting on the other side of the bracket where them sit down pretty nice dog.
Bro, but it's still bad because
Yeah,
it's
yeah,
like
it's
that's
still
all
bad.
those players, all those teams is reality fed. So it's like
Yeah,
whatever.
exactly.
And this has happened. This happened last season with the two Italian sides playing each other and then Inter going all the way.
Yeah,
It happened last season. It happened in the World Cup when Croatia got up with France. It happens all the time. When England was in when the World, it happens all the time, bro. Literally all the time. So I think it was the worst possible draw we could have get. However, semi-finals looking real good.
Yeah, yeah. Fair enough. Cup football this weekend, Brandon. Obviously, y'all went through against your wishes, but y'all went through. And so,
Yeah.
no, but in the most Chelsea fashion possible, they obviously made it harder than it should have been. We all have seen the still in both penalty and free kick at this point, which was, yeah, something else. And
and the one-on-one chance too.
anyone on one chance. Before
Mhm.
Kani and Madueke iced it in extra time. What are your thoughts after knocking out Leicester City?
We looked. I think we did really well to win the game in the end. I thought we had some very big performances from a lot of players that day. Um, and we have the worst part about it is, boy, we get rewarded by playing Man City in the next round. So
Hmm.
um,
Big up
I
Coventry
will
too.
I will just say I think we could beat City.
Yeah,
So
I think so too.
I think we could beat City.
I think so too.
Yeah,
I
but
think we
nobody
could do
care
it,
what you say.
Hey,
but
they don't know.
at this
They don't
point, I
know.
think the players will be
Mm-hmm,
gunning for it, and I
mm-hmm.
think
Hmm.
we could get them a good run for it. But
Y'all are
yeah,
aware who Coventry manager is, right?
I feel like I'm supposed to know this, but I can't remember
Yeah, but they
who
had
is it.
somebody that make mention. The name was familiar.
It
I can't
is a
remember.
Trinidadian, and I'm not
Eh?
even
Oh,
joking with
oh,
y'all.
oh, oh,
Austin?
oh.
Is it still?
No, it's Dennis Lawrence's Coventry manager, dog.
Why
Oh,
there? Why there?
good
Former
for him.
national coach Dennis Lawrence is coaching a team that is within the realms of the playoffs in the championship and is now in the FA Cup semi-finals.
But would you look at that?
Yeah, I,
Yeah,
I, I actually feel very proud of that actually though. So
Yeah, for real, dog.
y-
That is kind of
yeah.
crazy.
yeah. I mean,
And they're doing
we're
well. I think they're doing real well in the league too, not so?
yeah. So they are 2 points off the last playoff spot right now, which
Last
obviously
player
isn't
spot, yeah.
great, but it's still,
Nah,
you
but
know,
once you make it, you have a
yeah.
chance.
Once
You
they
know?
make it, you have a chance, right? And
Yeah.
the big one before we lose here is City versus United, where Manchester United has never lost a FA Cup home tie, and that record remained
You said
intact.
City versus United, eh?
I meant Liverpool versus United, my bad.
Okay, I was very
Where
confused.
United has never lost a home tie, and the record remained intact thanks to late goals from Amad Diallo. Well, a late goal, sorry, from Amad Diallo. But yeah,
Yeah.
those
So
that was
I
it.
guess I'll start off with the contentious one. Contentious one is I was doubting it at one point, but I am convinced that United cannot let go of Ten Hag. And
Hmm.
what I will say is I'll leave that one out of it, is he is not his system is not good. However, he's a very good tactician. It's very weird, but that is what I feel about Ten Hag. And
Hmm.
that's all I can say about that. That's the contentious one. I'll go for it. Apart from that, what real good performances from some of the United players. Dallo was great.
Hmm.
McTominay had a goal and an assist. Rashford get the goal. Ahmad came on and I think he changed the game.
Yeah.
And Garnacho was very
I
good.
thought Garnacho was pretty
Mainu
good.
was really good. I thought some
Yeah.
most of the players were. Bruno played centre back. Harry Maguire came on and had a blinder. Um, so yeah, that's all I had to say about United.
But
They played
but
really well. They wanted it more than Liverpool in the end.
yeah, and I felt like, Salah played. I don't think it was 90 minutes. He played against
Mhm.
Slavia Prague, but he played last Sunday. He played midweek. I don't think his coming off is some fitness argument. They were arrogant and taking him off at that moment in time, and they felt like if United couldn't come back and pull back anything into the game for. Of people of all people, Anthony to be the one to score right with his right foot on Virgil van Dijk's head. How you feel about Liverpool after that?
Oh, I just feel like that's one pressure lifted off of them. I think it will turn out to be beneficial for them in the end. Um,
Not having to like fight on all
I mean,
fronts.
it's not ideal to lose, but I mean the way the season is shaping up based on everything that we know already, I think it's not gonna bother them as much. I think it might help them if anything. So
Mm-hmm.
I don't know
Cool.
if that one contentious, but it might be.
Well, I guess when you listen tomorrow,
I will find
we'll
out.
go into
I will find
just
out.
all yeah, cool. Okay, Brian. Well, I feel we should probably lose it here, and well, me and Virgil will discuss everything you just say and more. So thanks for giving us whatever time you have, Brian, and best of luck. I love going out to Kavita and her family. Take
Mm-hmm.
care, boy.
All right, boy.
Later.
Yeah, take it.
Virgil,
That's a good boy.
we playing each other as soon as football start watching. That's
Yeah, boy.
something. I'll be honest with you. This is the most. Not that I am confident or nothing, but this is the most I'm looking forward to playing. Like it's
Yeah,
not that I think that we're gonna go there and yeah we're gonna win or whatever. I don't know. We could go there and lose, but I do think this is the most even it has been in a very long time. Like even last
yeah.
year we went here with a bunch of injuries and obviously Saliba was missing and stuff like that. But I think like this year it does feel like muscle for muscle. Now
Mm-hmm.
we'll just see where the cards land. So yeah, let me start from the top now. Arsenal versus Porto. Obviously we won in the end, and as the thing, Virgil. So all the statistical metrics is how about there that Arsenal are the best defense in the Champions League, but second to them was Porto, and I think you really saw it on the
Mm-hmm.
day. Conte Sal made some very misconstrued comments after the game that I felt I was actually really disappointed that he did that because I think it took away from the fact that I thought his team performed really well.
Mm-hmm.
They've managed to come to the Emirates and put in a better performance, and teams like Liverpool have managed to
Yeah.
do this season. And I think that's something that they could have hold their head really high to the point that I am like almost ready to anoint this man as like baby Jose. Like he had that charisma about him that he wanted to be the antagonist in the media as well as ready to make teams grind out results. And
Mm-hmm.
so, when he managed a merry-go-round goes of this in the summer, I expect his name to come up in like especially clubs like Chelsea and stuff like that. And yeah, but I think football does actually provide you with some really nice revolving doors moments, and Arsenal European pedigree must always come into conversations like this, and rightfully so. And we had a moment to go through to the quarterfinals for the first time in 14 years. Last time was against Porto. Last year, we got knocked out on penalties by a Portuguese side, and we came into this being able to turn around the results.
Mm.
Last year, Inter went to the final. They also had Porto in the round of 16, and they only managed one goal as well in the 180 minutes. Just they didn't concede one, so they didn't have to go
Yeah.
to extra time. But I think it was really good for the team to have to endure that, to go through that, to feel that burden together. And it wasn't a night where we had to do nothing in the sense of, we could have see it out to extra time and then do penalties. We had to at least score. That we had to force the initiative, and we managed to
Mm.
do that. I thought Odegaard was insanely good on the night. I thought Kiwior was good. I thought Rice was better when he dropped deeper. I can't lie, I kind of find when they disallow Odegaard goal, I find that was kind of soft, but I guess if it was the other way around, I probably would have wanted it disallowed. But I
Yeah.
think all in all, we grew and we continue to grow. And I mean, I think any Champions League experience is cannot be quantitatively analyzed as to how important it is, but you won't get experience until you go through these moments, and they are going through them. And these players are burdened with righting the wrongs of the past. And a lot of these players, and it's not a case of like, well, we asking Arsenal to go to the quarterfinals after going out of the round of 16 last year. None of these players was at the club at that moment when we used to go to Bayern and to Barca and AC Milan at the round of 16 for all those years.
Mm.
They are removed from that, but have to carry the burden of righting those wrongs, and they are. We are in a place where the club could be taken seriously from a competitive standpoint, and credit to the manager and the players for managing to do that.
Yeah. But everything respect to like how that Porto game went. That's expected because everything that you mentioned with Porto going into that game, it was expected it would be a tough game because for the every time we
Yeah.
played Porto have that type of ruggedness about it. They're real good defensively. So that was something that I felt a lot of people had their eyes on with Arsenal having a solid defense, Porto being stubborn defensively. The way that how the game played out, it really felt like that was expected. But not so much maybe the penalties, but it felt that it would have been a low scoring game. Somebody would have probably nicked the winner. It would have definitely go to think it would definitely go to extra time. But yeah, but all those things really is like with everything there, Arsenal was able to get the full experience of a Champions League night in one game because
Mm-hmm.
the whole tough battle they had going to extra time and penalties because I think the last time Champions League went to penalties was like quite Atletico. They say I think it was Atletico versus Madrid versus Real the last time. And then funny enough how the next day got a
Yeah,
penalty
yeah.
shoot penalty shoot as well. But yeah, but Arsenal was able to experience all that, and that's a big thing. That's a big thing for the players too, because for them to have to
Mm-hmm.
experience all those things and come out on top, and now they have this recipe to soak in everything. For me, when I saw the game going to extra time, it slipped my mind that international break, and in my head I like, hey boy, this is good for us because if Arsenal have to go have to expend all this energy they're gonna be tired when they play in City. And I was like, hey, but I forget it's international break.
Mm-hmm.
I know managers and players like to do that the old trick of pulling players out of international
Yeah,
duty
well, I
because
see men start to pull out from international duty,
no, they,
so
they, they know why because as expected they know
no,
coming back
but
is
no,
a
Virgil, this is my issue with international break, especially now. Like, bro, all you're calling up meant for friendlies when it have players who have like substantial things on the line right now.
yeah,
Like that is so counterproductive because like no player is going to go there fully focused. With
it's
with
true.
the few of like who are like fringe players and trying to really try to make themselves more solidified into the squad. So like, for example, somebody probably like Ollie Watkins or something, maybe. But on
Yeah,
the other hand, Watkins has top four and a Europa Conference League title to be fighting for. You
that's
call
true.
it up these men to do this when the next 6 weeks of their life, when they come back, is going to define big parts of their legacies and their seasons.
Hmm.
And dog, I just find it's so stupid, boy.
Yeah,
Like,
it really put a big pause because it put a big pause on how the season was going because at this point with everything that we talk about Champions League, the cup games, the league right now, tensions high right now, and
yeah.
football going real good right now.
Mm-hmm.
So it just a lot of things still on the side and everything's so tight right now.
Mm-hmm.
Unrealistically, it have nothing really to look forward to for in this international break. It's like
Yeah.
you could tell a lot of people didn't really care who get called up. Many people didn't really care that
And
if
I mean,
players stayed home.
and like, I guess I just parted there, but I mean, I guess what we could do is like we could also talk about like at least Arsenal's draw and thing. I think like
Yeah,
from
yeah,
now for the rest of the season, like it's really important for Arteta to showcase something that we have not seen enough from him thus far, which is use of his squad. With the exception of Yuri and Timber, who is currently training with the team again, which is great news. Everybody else should be very much available by the time we are back to play y'all. And it's not
mm,
just y'all, it's that we're gonna have to have games where we play in Luton at home or Brighton
yeah,
away, and you're not starting Jorginho, or you're not starting Ben White, or you're not starting maybe even Saka or something, and you play Jesus on the wing. But like,
yeah,
he needs to get comfortable, like not like just probably resting like 2-3 players a week, and then hope and then play the game, get comfortable, get a good lead, and then set a sub off, man, which is something Pep does a lot. And
mm,
now, to be fair, I do think that when I watch the way that we've played at the first half of the season to how we are playing to this point, I think they've done really well to manage energy levels. But even so, even at this part, excuse, of the season where every single point is going to count towards the end. And especially in a season where in both the Champions League, which it always is, but in the league where our fate is in our own hands,
mm,
then you have to be able to maximize every opportunity possible. And so, you know, over the last few weeks, it's been roughly 13 players who has been used pretty often. Um, the 11 that has been, plus like Jorginho, Trossard will
yeah,
come in. Um, yeah, that's kind of been it. But over the last couple of weeks and games, we've seen Jesus come back. We've seen Tomiyasu come back. We've seen Thomas Partey come back. I'm missing somebody. Fabio Vieira, somebody else, but Zinchenko also come back. All these players are
yeah,
coming back. So, you gain all these players back. Yeah, well, Arteta, you're going to have to get comfortable that when Bournemouth come to play at home, that probably Smith will start a game. Or well, we know he not opposed to Trossard starting, but like Vieira starting or Tomiyasu starting, something like that. And yeah, and with respect to the Bayern tie, Salek said that this is the worst tie Arsenal could ask for. I mean, sorry, I think the worst tie we could have asked for was the how to play either Ole or Madrid. You
yeah,
know, I think
yeah,
anything else I was willing to take, albeit Bayern was probably in my bottom three. Just because
mm,
as Salek said, this is probably a tie I want to see in the semifinals. But
mm,
it's a game against a Bayern that I don't think have been their best, or at their best, I should say, to compete obviously with Bayer Leverkusen and what they are doing. Admittedly, what Leverkusen is doing is somewhat generational at this run, but it's a good time to right some wrongs. Well, wrongs of the past. You
mm,
know, all the times Bayern kick we out of Europe, whether it's on away goals or is it 10-2 or whatever it is. And on top of that, they have Harry Kane there, which is extra incentive dog to throw that man down again, kick that man out again, and
mm.
have some fun with it. And Bayern not allowed to have any fans in the stadium when they play us because they have a band. So it's gonna be a stadium
Oh,
full of just Arsenal fans alone. bro. I
Mm.
I expect good things. I think we can go through. I really believe we can go through, and it's just a case of actually doing it.
No, honestly, I agree. When I thought this was like the best for Arsenal.
Hmm.
Outside from the shout of wanting Dortmund or
I really
even
wanted Barca
Barcelona.
though. Me, I like to say, I really wanted
Nah,
Barca, but for that
I
same
felt
reason of right and
yeah,
wrongs that he passed, like all the time, dog. It just had a
yeah,
phases, man. Every dog, it had a year, Virgil, where no joke, we had get Bayern in our
yeah,
group and then had to play Barca in your under 16, bro. Like,
yeah,
imagine having to go and play Pep Bayern in the group stage and then having to go and play Lionel Messi in your own and Neymar and Suarez in your under
yeah.
16. Like, bro, that is so infuriating, dog. Dog, I
Nah,
actually
sure.
remember the 1 year we did what we were supposed to and finished top of the group. A group that had PSG in it as well, eh? We managed to draw second place Bayern Munich, who was second to Real Madrid in their group. Like,
Yeah.
again, what is our luck, bro,
Nah, sure. I feel like a lot of people wanted Barcelona for like that same to right those wrongs because even same like last time when you play Barcelona, last time we got the win over Barca, we didn't really play Barca since, and I just felt like I don't care the state of Barcelona right now. I just want on the in the history books. I want the results to be City, tear apart Barca. I mean, we did that to Madrid last season, so it doesn't matter.
Mm-hmm.
It's still once a day and it's still looking good. But for
Mm-hmm.
Arsenal, but big to big, I tell you, there's no other way of me looking at it to see it as a tough test for Arsenal. Like as much as I want to be biased or whatever, I looking at that, and I'm from these two. But the state that Bayern in right now, I'm not saying Bayern playing terrible, but the state with Bayern right now also having one eye on the league. Many times when teams go up against Bayern already first run away the league
Yeah,
already.
yeah, correct.
and
Yeah.
and and this time they're going up against Arsenal, who is have a better defense than them and just as good as attack, just as good going forward as them. So
Mm-hmm.
this is something that Bayern have to be good on this. So this doesn't seem like it's like this is easy
Yeah.
to call. So
Yeah, and I
I
mean,
I really feel this is like the best for Arsenal because Arsenal would have want to miss out on City, Madrid,
yeah.
Atletico for sure,
I mean,
PSG.
granted, we go through. We had to play one all there next, so that's
Yeah,
that's
but
that's great.
but the one thing I agree with Brandon for is it really is the way that how everything is set up is the worst possible one because it have good
Yeah,
fixtures coming, but it felt like it could have go a
yeah.
different way that
Like,
would have beat.
bro, me
Yeah,
like to tell you the way our side of the bracket is. If that was how the the semi-finals was, I'd be like,
yeah,
I lit, and then
that would be
but
nice to watch.
eh, but I do think we can beat Bayern, and your
Yeah,
boy
for
Leroy
sure.
Sané has not scored in 5 months, so that means he got to score when he play us. Um, but I really think we could win, boy, and like I think compared to like people will be like you barely get past Porto, how you get past Bayern or something. Look, I think I am. This could be famous last words or whatever, but I think Porto have defended in a way that I don't expect anybody else in this competition besides
Yeah.
Atletico to be able to pull off in this competition. Who?
Porto's definitely one of the most stubborn defensive teams in Europe.
Yeah, I mean, dog. Just last year, like I said, when Inter played them, they only had one goal against them as well. They have been
Hmm.
improving on that in Europe, and yeah. So then there's the Barca tie. Barca ended up going
Hmm.
through pretty easily against Napoli in the end. I thought there was some really nice players on show. There's this Kubasi fella who's playing centre back for them right now. His
Yeah,
passing looks excellent. I also watched their game against Atletico on the weekend. He was excellent
yeah,
again, and I think Barca kind of, like for us, we are now in the quarterfinals, and as Brandon said, at this point the expectation is met. Like anything we do now, it's kind of like you have nothing to lose. And with
yeah,
Barca, sorry, nobody expect anything of Barca at this point. Their season hasn't been going according to plan. They already
Mm-hmm.
agreed for the manager to leave at the end of the season. That does not happen unless it's a Jurgen Klopp case where you're leaving on good terms. Nobody's expecting anything from this Barca side, and yet they are in a quarter final here on the easier side of the bracket. The league
Mm-hmm.
kind of dead, but they done in second, so it's okay.
Mm-hmm.
All they have to focus on is this PSG side who, until Mbappe scored in the first leg, Real Sociedad were looking better than them.
Yeah.
I still expect PSG to go through just because it's Mbappe, but this is not a functional PSG team.
Yeah. Because I don't know this current status on Barca and their injuries because there's a big thing we are remember.
So I don't think Frankie or Pedri is currently available, and I don't know if
Mm-hmm.
they'll be back for the next round. But
Yeah.
Lewandowski all of a sudden started looking for him a bit. Joe Felix scored at the
Mm-hmm.
weekend, and Lamine Yamal, Rafinha, and Fermin Lopez
Mm-hmm.
have been all chipping in a little bit more
Yeah.
recently.
And that area is exactly where I want to focus on is we know Mbappe's Mbappe and things Mbappe will get chances. That is Mbappe,
Yeah.
when it comes down to taking those chances, yes, this not hasn't been the most clinical PSG has been this season. Look at from the group stage. But if you're looking at those attackers from Barcelona, they could create chances. They could create
Hmm.
chances, and once the right men on the end of the ball, even I talk about even from the likes of João Cancelo chipping in as well. If they take the chances, this really is a very balanced tie in my eyes. I don't see no way of this being like this shifting fully in PSG favor.
Yeah.
This could be something where PSG of all comes back. The whole same that whole PSG curse could come back and just ruin them.
Hmm.
And once Barca get if Barca score first and then to have the lead, it's just about playing stubborn. And
Yeah.
once Barca playing stubborn, it just plays into PSG. And because one thing about these ties, a lot of these players, a lot of these teams have these research from the group stage. Look at how PSG play for that group from that group stage. You see ways in which Newcastle was able to take apart PSG. You saw
Hmm.
Milan was able to get it to play. You saw how Dortmund was able to play against PSG.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
have these games to look at.
Yeah.
So this is where I feel it all comes on the travel and comes down to the tactics on the day, and you have
Yeah.
a lot of information to go off on to
And,
basically go against it.
and the thing is, Virgil, we're looking at the way that the bracket's set up. That let me say that they do get past PSG. They're gonna have to play either one of Dortmund or Atletico Madrid. Well, they just rinse
Mhm.
Atletico at the weekend. You know,
Exactly.
and I mean I know UCL Atletico is a whole different breed.
Hmm.
At Simeone record at home in the UCL is way better than it is domestically, but it's almost like it's very much possible Barca can reach a UCL final
Yeah,
this season,
it is very possible anybody on that
which is
side on that
crazy.
bracket
That
can
is
can
that
reach
is
the
my thing.
final.
Like as much as I don't like the bracket the way it's set up because it does feel like a very underwhelming team is going to reach that
Mhm.
final, right? I don't mean that
Yeah.
disrespectfully. It's just where those teams are. Atletico are not even in the Champions League spots right now in Spain, because currently it's Atletico Bilbao and Girona that occupy third and fourth. Big up Girona, and
Mhm.
a PSG team that get into the round of 16 by the skin of their teeth and still have we are in March, Virgil, and they still aren't
Yeah.
looking great. Dortmund, credit to them for doing what they're doing. Fair enough. But every tie except for when the group stage, everybody thought they was gonna get knocked out. People think they gonna
Mhm.
get knocked out even now. I'm not gonna count them out. And then obviously we just talk about Barca. Somebody gonna end up in this final where we feel like, but do you really deserve to be in a final?
And
Which
another reason, yeah. Yeah,
which
go ahead.
what I was gonna say is like which is just part of cup football, right? Which is
Hmm.
part of being a draw. We'll talk about the FA Cup a little bit on the weekend, or think
Hmm.
about the way that Chelsea reached the Champions League final in 2012 and they won it.
Hmm.
Is not that is just part of cup football. Sometimes a team can't get there who has not been the best. You know, but it feel like if it's set up like that even now, at least Chelsea then, Chelsea upsetted a Barca side that was, reigning champs at the time, I believe it was. At least like they had somebody to overthrow and to reach there, you know. Whereas right now it's like, well, we can kind of see anybody beating anybody on that side of the draw, which in itself is kind of cool, right? Because
Mhm.
you would favor Atletico against Dortmund, but at the same time, Dortmund keep going through. So hey,
Mhm.
it's Dortmund. Who knows where that could stop? PSG has Mbappe, which makes them the favorites to me on that side of the bracket. But it's still PSG the AD, and you never know what happened to them. They face any kind of setback, and yeah,
The only way, and I said the only way the excitement level will be through the roof from something like this, and this is going to be very difficult for me to say. The fact that people know that Madrid and City on one end, and you have
yeah,
these teams that just looking like anybody if they make it to the finals of the field. Because you feel like if you're thinking about it, if City reach the final, Madrid reach the final, and playing either one of them, you
yeah,
feel like all right, it might swing in favor of one. But let's just say neither City or Madrid made the finals. Then
right,
that would just blow the finals apart. That would just because
correct.
imagine if right now, as much as both teams not really
You don't
playing
have to
good
tell me.
in
Imagine, I done
the
dreaming about it already.
imagine both teams not playing good in their respective in their league.
Yeah,
But you see this season Bayern versus Dortmund in our final. That might be a little exciting to watch.
yeah,
Or if you
it
see
could be.
Arsenal versus Barcelona,
Yeah,
that's going to
like
be
you can't
exciting
help.
though.
Yeah, exactly.
You can't help but that. But
I
as I
can
say, it's, I say,
also see Atleti reaching that final just because of how stubborn they are
no,
and
it's
just
true.
manage to get
It's
away.
true.
Or even I was thinking about, with Mbappe reach the final and has to play Real. Does
Yeah,
he
big
have
game,
to
bro.
play against his next employees, and where
Yeah,
does that
boy.
leave him mentally? Or him versus us, and who gets their first Champions League? That kind of thing.
Mm,
I see all these
yeah, true,
storylines already,
boy.
boy. And don't get me wrong, it will be interesting come down to the end.
Yeah,
It kind of just feels a little bit underwhelming.
it's
And
true.
that is just the way the draw is sometimes. I mean, we literally see Spurs reach a final a few years ago. This just
Yeah.
happens. But yeah, cool. Moving across, so Inter got knocked out this week though, Virgil, after taking a lead. And I have to say, given how good Inter have been this season, in the league, and I don't think they've always been at their best in the Champions League, but they did manage to get through. I think this has been pretty underwhelming from them.
Mm,
And I think that they had more than enough chances to put it away. And I think that people point to Arsenal in terms of pedigree, but I think this tie between them and Atletico is where pedigree really showed, where
yeah.
they needed players to step up for that night to be their night, and Atletico players did that. Obviously Griezmann has been there, he's done that, but like even players who have it, in terms of like the pie, taking a great touch and finish to put them into extra time. And then the ones who actually stepped up and like, there has been research done in sports psychology in terms of players taking penalties, you know, almost every athletic Inter Milan player, especially ones who missed, rush their kick. Like as soon as they hear the whistle, they went and kick.
Mm.
Compared to those who took their time to feel it out or whatever. And you see the difference. You saw the difference between the two teams, and Atletico went through in the end. But how does this leave you feeling about Inter after they being knocked out?
Another big thing to mention too, what make it even worse is they were runners up last season. So you
Mm-hmm.
felt because in most seasons where teams don't really make don't really win the finals and they run up, you'll kind of expect them to to go
Go
fast to
far,
win
yeah, the
Champions League
next year, yeah.
and try to get that revenge. So and even just from Inter, just looking at how everything played out, this would have been a great for them to go through. And if we replace Aleti, it would be a good opportunity for them to even make it back to the finals and probably try to for things to be different this time around. So
Mm-hmm.
that is why it really was a lot worse for them to the manner that they wish they got
Mm-hmm.
knocked out because, as you mentioned, they have a lot of players there that you for on big days, even during the league, you'll see them turning up and get that decisive goal. It just felt that they were just lacking in this game. They really were just
Mm-hmm.
lacking, and
Yeah.
credit to Atletico Madrid for what they did, but
Yeah.
realistically, it could have you know had this tie in their hands. They really just threw
Yeah.
it away.
And I think, the way that the weekend game with them against Barcelona and kind of show that it's more a case of them doing it on their day. I think
Yeah.
everything kind of revolves around Griezmann at this point, bro, and he just has to be fit, or else they just don't have it in them again. Um,
Hmm.
the only tie, I mean, the Dortmund versus Atletico to me is it's not a toss up in the sense that I do think Atletico is favorites, but after everything that Dortmund has done so far in the Champions League this season, coming out of the group of the that, reaching the quarterfinals, even though PSV played pretty well against them for large parts of the game, I'm not gonna count them out of anything.
True.
Even though I think they are that Atletico are the favorites, which leaves us with Real Madrid versus Manchester City. I'll be real, Virgil. The day before the draw, I was very much willing this tie because well, I don't like y'all, and I wanted y'all to get the hardest time possible. Because at the end of
Mm,
the day, like not everybody can go and play Atalanta in the Europa League. Some of us have big boy ties to play in, right? And
yeah.
I would like for your attention to be split, which our attention will be split as well, as much as
Yeah.
possible. And so obviously a rematch of the semi-finals for y'all from last year, but I do think that y'all are still favorites. I do think y'all are heavy favorites. Um, I think that the balancing factor in all this is always what it is with Real Madrid is that their heritage and their pride in their badge, which is something that I'll touch on a little bit when we talk about United later on. But Real Madrid managed to get by these rounds based on players being able to remember who they are, what they are capable of,
Mhm.
who are they playing for, what is expected of them, and meeting such an expectation. So, how you feeling about the tie? How you felt when you realized it was Real again?
Uh, like City is the only team that could draw that you could feel draw Madrid and feel like, okay, this is a balanced game.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
for me, I understand, it's a case of, for us, yes, as much as I would have wanted to avoid Madrid, even I would have even hoped to bounce with Madrid in the finals. But if we have a chance this early the to knock one of the highest contenders for the finals, if you have a chance to knock them out by your own hands, that will bring a lot of confidence, and it'll make going forward a little easier. So that's why from this is like a big opportunity for the players, opportunity right now where you could, get Madrid out, and the Madrid is still in full swing of the league. You don't have to wait later in the Champions League, where the league probably might be wrapped up and you can rest players during the league or whatever. And one other thing that haven't given me a lot of confidence too is from watching a lot of La Liga this season and knowing for a fact that Madrid has struggled a lot this season. Madrid has struggled that first leg against RB Leipzig. We've been
yeah.
real.
It hasn't been
In that
great. It hasn't been great.
they also struggled in the league against Rayo Vallecano. I think they struggled against Valencia. They struggled, and the next game
Yeah.
they're not draw. Next
Now,
one they
to
draw.
be fair, when they play
Mm.
y'all, I think it's expected that Militao and possibly even Courtois might be back.
No, yeah.
I don't actually think Courtois will be back though. I feel like that one is a stretch, but I think Militao might be back, and so you're looking at a team that is basically Carvajal, Militao, Rudiger, somebody at left back,
Yeah.
Cruz, Jude, too many Valverde to make on the midfield, and then Rodrigo and Vinicius on top. And while it
Mm.
might not be, what you would consider the most ideal players in terms of, players playing the right positions or whatever, these players have shown the ability to adapt when it comes to the Tuesday night lights.
That's true. And the big, one of the big factors, as debatable as much as if this is a factor or
And
not
I think
for
Rudiger
this night.
versus Haaland is a very good matchup as
Yeah,
well.
yes, and that is the thing. When you're able to throw when you're able to throw like a Haaland to a physical player like Rudiger, you felt like there are good
Yeah.
matchups across the pitch. So we already have our own lineup too that you're gonna expect, like Bernardo Silva, Alvarez,
hmm
Foden, De Bruyne, Rodri,
You know,
Grealish as
we
well
we didn't
would
talk.
be back.
We didn't talk after all the Liverpool game, Virgil, but it
Mhm.
was brought up to me that I missed an ideal opportunity to roast Foden, which I think should be more than evidence to
Mhm.
people out there that I was not like it wasn't about roasting him or anything. And I I do think that it's important for him to step up in games like that, right? But at the same time, I doesn't like to be overly critical about a player who literally stepped up the week before against a
Yeah.
domestic rival to then the following week because he didn't step up in Anfield, which is one of the few places that Pep struggles with. That like, oh
Mm-hmm.
my god, to strike him down. But he has been
No,
extremely important to you all this
mm-hmm.
season.
That's true.
I know that he did not have his best game at Anfield, but you know, do you expect the way that he has stepped up? I mean, I don't mean this anyhow, but I don't really care about his goal and assist versus Copenhagen.
Mm-hmm.
I talk about now, Real Madrid.
Mm-hmm.
Do you expect that to continue?
Yeah, so I feel like definitely that will continue, but that would also be down to do any position he's played at. If he's
Yeah,
continuing to play in the position where he's playing right now, where he has support out wide from Bernardo Silva as well as
yeah,
when Grealish does come back, and well, De Bruyne also playing a more passive role, letting Foden do his thing. I feel like could expect a lot from him because Foden, when Foden and Haaland is together, yeah, I find those two know how to get the best out of each other, and
yeah.
and I feel like with De Bruyne back, De Bruyne also is able to keep a lot of the pressure off Foden because a lot of players will be focusing their attention on De Bruyne as well. Going to the Liverpool game, I want to comment on that quick. I understand why, because that Liverpool game was very frustrating. And when you look at not only the players that we had out there, the players that Liverpool was missing, and also the form that our players was in. One thing I just want to say quick to sum that game is Jurgen Klopp is a man know how to get the best out of them young players, because them young
Mm-hmm.
players was
Yeah,
playing
no,
like
I've been amazing.
professionals. Like majority of young players could finish that game and say that was the best game they had. I
Mm-hmm.
do I don't know how they were so good. That was so frustrating to watch.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I feel like I'm very confident going to that game because I feel like
Yeah.
Madrid also has Madrid is
The
the
first leg is in England.
Bernabeu.
Oh, it's in
The first leg
Bernabeu.
is Bernabeu. So
Yeah,
there's a lot of factors. So
I
I'm
do
not sure
think though
how
that
big.
it's better to have the second leg at home, because like you can
Yeah,
turn it
because
around and you have like God forbid it goes extra time when it's extra time in your stadium,
mm-hmm.
and then penalties at your stadium. But yeah, okay, cool. So looking more at the weekend's action, now Chelsea's Chelsea, and maybe they have opportunity to have a very good end of the season and could be a viable route for them into European
It's
football
true.
for next year as they head for their third double-digit finish in the last 10 years. Besides them, though, you all went through somewhat pretty comfortably against
Mm-hmm.
Newcastle. I see Ortega actually did have to make some pretty big saves um, at some moments against Isak and stuff, but it looked like
Yeah,
it was comfortable for the most part, which really leaves us with Coventry coming from behind to beat Wolves. And again, I know I mentioned it earlier, but it's really a sense of pride knowing that a Trinidadian former international player, former Trinidadian manager is out there coaching a team to this level. I think that is something amazing, and hopefully he can chain up some Trinidadians to come out and play for Coventry in the future, which
that's true.
really leaves us with Manchester United versus Liverpool. And I talk about how Madrid players play for their badge and stuff. I think Ten Hag tactics are some of the worst that you will see. Honestly, he's horrendous at that. However, I think kind of way I would agree with Brandon is that like I think that he does a really good job in not enough to make them a top side, but enough to make them a respectable side, especially at home, for them to
Mm-hmm.
remember in key moments like who they are and who they play for, what Manchester United is. So things like playing against the Liverpool at home in the cup, that is a big deal. Their
Mm-hmm.
home form in general tends to be pretty good. And in moments like these, they do manage to pull it together and manage to perform pretty well. It's just a case of how often that he can do it. Um, but yeah, my feeling is Virgil is that he's not going to go anywhere in the summer, and this would not sway me at all if I was being completely honest. I think that he is still the wrong man for the job, and I'll be more than glad for him to keep his job as a rival
Mm-hmm.
fan. For somebody who would have been more concerned about United, I think it says a lot about a coach where you're constantly having to be saving your job. Like clearly there's
Mm-hmm.
something wrong there, you know. And this validating your season via being outside of the top four, outside shouts to finish top four, and then using a cup run to save your season. That song like the kind of standards that some Arsenal fans had with Arsene Wenger that I never had like. And
Mm-hmm.
if that's not good enough for me, for my club, then I would never think that's good enough for a club of the stature of Man United. But more importantly, is how Liverpool was on the day and how they capitulated. I think Liverpool were very arrogant. I think the subs were arrogant. I
Yep.
think taking out Salah
Yeah.
was so arrogant when you only had a one goal lead away from home. And they paid for it in the end. Rashford probably should have won it in the very last kick of the game. Did not do that. They went to extra time. He scored from a really nice pass from McTominay, who was catching cramp. And then Amad Diallo, who came back from the wilderness to score
Yeah.
and send them
I
through.
think Sunderland. Yeah. Yeah.
So yeah, what was your
No,
feel
but
of the game?
yeah, but yeah, for the game first, it was it lived up to the hype. The whole United Liverpool usually whenever it's played in the other venue in Anfield, it's go a totally different way. But when it's played in Old Trafford, it usually lives up to the hype. It usually has some moments, some good moments sometimes. So this is exactly what Ten Hag would have wanted. It's exactly what a lot of you know delusional fans delusional United fans would have wanted. This is exactly what rival fans also would have wanted as well. Because from this, yeah, you make it through beating Liverpool, a big statement piece. Also throwing in there that's stopping Jurgen Klopp's farewell tour, trying to get the whole the full set in his final
Yep,
season.
yep,
So that and all is also going to add to the CV of Eric Ten Hag and why they're going to want to stay. And now they
yeah,
have Coventry, where they're more than likely going to make it to the final,
yeah,
another final. So that it will be recorded as back-to-back FA Cup finals.
yeah.
Regardless of results, Eric Ten Hag and his fans are going to use this as more reason for him to stay.
I've been real again. Nothing about United. They could have been playing all your Chelsea, whoever. I support in Coventry all the way though. At Trinidad, as their head coach product, they have my support all the way
Mhm.
though.
No, I've been real too. I feel like Coventry would have wanted United out of everybody because
Yeah,
of
like
Chelsea have firepower. And if you play in a team in a cup game, I feel like
in a
Chelsea only
neutral
want
venue,
a
like
neutral venue as well. Exactly, but
I
I
don't
feel
see why not.
Coventry. Mhm. So I feel like from the Liverpool game here, everything from that but you have to give all credit to them because it's from them to be able to, you know, basically take the moment. They basically play the game, play the moment, and Liverpool really was disappointing because Liverpool honestly should have basically killed off that game earlier.
Yeah,
Liverpool, as I said, they were playing with a little too much arrogance because it felt that every time United came back, Liverpool knew that they could dig out that win. Because
yeah,
from that Harvey Elliott goal, it felt that Liverpool thought that was it.
yep,
They felt like that nobody was expecting Diallo to come and score a winner. So I know it was a big shock to those Liverpool players as well because they didn't really care because Liverpool because I think right before that Liverpool had a chance to win the game right
yep.
before that
Yeah.
before the Ghana yeah
Bro,
the Ghana
they had a
break.
next one of them 5-on-2s that they messed up again. I guess they
Yeah.
gonna blame Declan Rice for that one too.
Mm,
But um
yeah.
I don't think it harms their season at all. And
Oh
we
no,
know how
no,
to
it doesn't. It doesn't.
but what I would say is I think with Liverpool momentum is such an important thing and then he stopped with them. But again, it's gonna be international break, whatever. So maybe it really doesn't matter in the end, right?
Yeah.
I'm not even sure who Liverpool playing. Is Everton? No, it's not Everton they play next. Everton is the game that has to be rescheduled. Liverpool had a host
Mm,
Brighton next. So not the hardest game, not the easiest game. So come on in the middle. But I think we saw a lot of players who might not have been in top four or have been in top four not be the greatest on this day. I thought Virgil was not the best. And I
it's
still
true.
think like, bro, people could tell my bias and fair enough, but I think Gabriel and Saliba both have been better than him, and I do think that he's been great. I think that he does a lot to hold together, that back line at times, especially when Kanate is out, because I think Kanate has been
Hmm.
very good as well. But there are times I think he gets exposed this season and has been caught making mistakes, and is either he don't get punished for it, which also shows not how rare it is for him to be making mistakes, or he isn't pulled up on it when he makes like fouls and referees don't call it, or stuff like that, you know. And it's the thing, Virgil. Again, we didn't have you on the pod last week, right? But like, that clip when Haaland run at him, right? I being
Yeah,
real long, I thought that was bad defending. Reason being, you let a man who was
yeah,
outside of the on halfway line run at you, go to one side, go to the next side, which fair enough he did really well to stay on his feet, but you allowed the man
yeah,
to get on his strong foot, come into the
yeah.
box relatively middle, and get a shot off, dog. Like, even though it wasn't the best of shots, I don't find like it was this almighty defending people made it out to be. But it is what it is. With United though, United visiting Brentford as soon as football started back on. It would surprise me to know and for them to go and lose that game just because they just are an inconsistent team at the moment, and they could give you
Hmm.
days like today. I hope they have a next day like this in them because they host Liverpool in the league again.
Yeah,
Manage to pull this off again,
yeah.
and yeah. Anything you want to say before we wrap this up? Wrap up that game? Okay, just kind of
Um,
do a quick
no,
view around Europe, really.
yeah, yeah,
Um,
yeah, yeah. You got it under that.
Bayer Leverkusen won 3-2 this weekend.
Oh yeah, yeah. 3-2 and
Yeah, boy. But I mean, the title is basically all wrapped up for them.
I don't think
So,
so. I don't think that's what I'll make mention to it by Leverkusen. As much as the Champions League we have his thoughts, that Europa League tie
hey,
looking
the
kinda
Europa League
nice,
tie
right?
is actually fire, dog. I think that's
Europa League is
fire.
looking good.
Yeah.
Imagine that final now. Imagine on both and on the both on separate sides. Yeah, you could have a Liverpool versus Leverkusen final.
Yeah,
That would be
so
entertaining.
um oh gosh. I actually had this save somewhere now. Just give me 1 second. Because I know I already mentioned Liverpool had to play Atalanta. Benfica had to
Earlier
play
today.
Marseille, which is, I think,
Mm.
is a relatively even draw. We have an Italian
Yeah,
game between AC and Roma. Roma, who've been
mm,
really
that's a nice
flying
one.
since
That's a nice
the
one to
Rossi
watch.
takeover, and then Leverkusen host West Ham, which I think is pretty cool. I think that's very, very cool, you know, to see where that goes. And yeah, anything else, boy? I think that's really it. I mean, this is a
No,
slow week.
yeah, and
We
I
didn't really
think
talk
I
about
think
cup football
mentioned.
like that. The only reason we
Yeah.
did it is because it had some pretty big ties in there.
Mhm.
And yeah, I guess we can leave it so, man. We'll have
Yeah.
more stuff for you guys, obviously, in the coming weeks. And thanks always for all your support. I have some stuff dropping on the kit pages over the next few days, including today. So be on the lookout for that as well. And love as always. Widge, thanks for your time, bro.
Yeah,
And
no
we'll catch you
problem.
guys next time. See you soon. Take it easy. Later.